would enter the White House under dark clouds, they would be the most unpopular president-elects in history. Talking Points believes most Americans simply want the tawdry campaign to end. It's that terrible for the country. It should come as no surprise to anyone that more women are emerging to hammer Trump. Piling on is now an American sport. And like the NFL games, the news media has set up programs where so-called experts sit around for hours offering gross speculation about things they could not possibly know anything about. In America today, all accusations are convictions. Therefore, both Trump and Clinton, who have extremely controversial resumes, will be battered without mercy right up to Election Day. WikiLeaks apparently has thousands of emails left to drop on Clinton. Expect a torrent of personal accusations against Trump. The result, a diminished country. We the people do not deserve this, but there's little we can do about it. Clinton and Trump won the nominations. That's our system. Both have dubious histories, but voters did not seem to care. People ask me all the time, where are the inspirational leaders like the Roosevelts and Ronald Reagan? The answer to that question is that most decent people don't want to be any part. They don't want any part of the internet gutter snipes and a press that celebrates scandal, condoning contrived or even dishonest attacks. Thus, many good leaders simply sit it out. By the way, there are no journalistic standards anymore, as the WikiLeaks hackers have demonstrated. The cold truth is our political system has devolved into a chaotic circus where candidates with the most money usually win. Summing up, with no privacy in the country anymore, with little restraint in the media, with millions of Americans more interested in texting and social media than actually experiencing life, we have now come to a point in history that would give Nero solace. The next president of the United States will either be Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump. As Cronkite once said, that's the way it is. And that's a memo. Now for the top story tonight, reaction with us here in New York City, Newt Gingrich, author of the new novel, Treason. So where am I going wrong here, Mr. Speaker?
Sadly, I don't think you are.
It's a pretty dark scenario.
This is probably the worst presidential election certainly in the last 100 years.
I think it's the worst in history. I was looking at the Jefferson-Adams mudslinging, which was pretty vicious, but not on this level, with the press able to get out in a heartbeat anything the press wants to get.
And a good friend of mine, Barry Castleman, who writes a blog in Minnesota, wrote a piece Tuesday about what he called a news media coup d'etat. He said he's seen bias before, but on Friday he watched virtually the entire news media attempt to destroy the candidate of one of the two parties.
But they have to report these things, particularly when they're on tape, don't they not?
They don't have to report them for 72 continuous hours. They don't have to take a poll at the peak of the reporting. I mean, the poll that came out on Monday was totally false. And the other part of it is they get to choose. You have WikiLeaks saying things such as the thing that's going to be in your show later on, which is Hillary Clinton gives a secret speech to a Brazilian bank and says, "My dream is open trade and open borders."
We're going to get an expedition on this.
But you don't. But that actually, if you think about it, is an amazing comment, which doesn't get the same kind of coverage.
It's not going to get the coverage because the salacious stuff always will. It always will. You've been through it. Most politicians have been through it to some extent. When you have accusations that are sensational, all right? It always overrides policy.
But think about it. I mean, you've been around long enough. Would never have happened to John F. Kennedy. Would never have happened to Lyndon Johnson. Would never happen to FDR.
Right.
Because there was a convention.
Yes, and that's broken down now.
And it's totally broken.
Right.
And that may be the reality we have to live with for 20 or 30 years.
It is not going to change, and that's why good people aren't stepping up, because nobody's perfect. Everybody has things in their past that they don't want to be on the front page of the New York Times or whatever. But there's a degree, and I do believe the press has a responsibility to bring the truth to the American people. Do you feel that's happening now?
No,
is the press bringing the truth?
I think journalism, in the sense that you grew up with and I grew up with, has totally collapsed. And I think the New York Times candidly has been the leader in its collapse, because the New York Times at one time, even if it was left wing with Castro and with Stalin in the 30s, it was nonetheless a place that had very serious reporting. The stuff they've been doing recently on Trump, some of it is an absurdity. and it gets blown up. And you see,
You want to give me an example of an absurdity?
well, an example is a woman who said in the middle of a photo shoot, she thought that she was touched by the photographer's camera, but then decided, no, it must have been Donald Trump.
See, I don't even get into that stuff, because if it's filed, if there's something filed and the police are investigating, and but anybody can say anything at any time.
But the whole weight of the assault on Trump are people who never filed a charge, never made a complaint, but the New York Times has brought them all together, and they take something that, and clearly what he said on tape was stupid and despicable, and I'm glad he apologized for it. But this other stuff now is just a piling on of what else can we manufacture?
The Fox News poll that we're going to give asks a question, is the tape Access Hollywood a game breaker or not? I'm going to give you the results in a moment. But you'll remember that John McCain was put through this mill with an alleged affair that nobody ever proved. And that was a front page story 8 years ago.
Well, I was with Meghan McCain on Outnumbered today, and she was reminding people that the stuff that was done to her father is exactly the kind of scurrilous smear that is now being done to Trump. And notice it's very one-sided. I mean, I have never seen...
Trump does have a history of being a ladies' man. I mean, not John McCain doesn't have that history. Right. Trump does. But the crux of the matter is the American people getting the truth about both Clinton and Trump. Are they getting the truth?
I'm prepared to stipulate that the candidate I like, Donald Trump, has on occasion been crude, if they'd be willing to stipulate that Hillary's both dishonest and corrupt. But they don't want to stipulate that.
They being whom?
The New York Times, the Washington Post.
No, they're not going to do that. They're not going to make a comparison of behavior between. And the reason they're not going to do it is Bill Clinton. So, his
But
behavior.
I'm not even talking about sex. I'm talking about a woman who says 39 times to the FBI, I can't remember, and then seems to remember everything in a debate. I mean, she's just totally dishonest.
Well, okay, but...
You may not want to render that judgment. I'm here as a guest. I'm rendering that judgment.
All I'm going to say is that when you have an emotional campaign with people, being whipped up into a frenzy for one reason or another, then you lose all clarity. There's no clarity anymore. And my talking points was that both of these candidates now are damaged. They've been damaged by the media or their own actions. You the voter, you can decide that. But they're damaged people. I mean, the inauguration, is that going to be a celebration?
Look,
no.
But also as a historian.
Yeah.
Okay. One of the chants in the late 18th, 19th century was, Mama, where's my pa? Going to the White House, ha, ha, ha.
Yeah.
Lincoln at one point was called a guerrilla. I mean, the news attacks on Lincoln were pretty good.
It wasn't this kind of a national forum where everybody hears all of the terrible details.
We're all going to have to grow into a world in which everybody has Facebook Live, everybody has YouTube, everybody has a personal camera. I mean, it's a different world.
There's no privacy and there's no dignity anymore. That's for sure. Last question. The polls say Bill Clinton's personally popular. After all,
sure.
So it looks to me like we might be going like France, that personal behavior, conduct, doesn't really resonate that much anymore.
That could be true. It's also a fact that Bill Clinton is one of the most charming people you and I have ever met. That is just it's a skill he developed in Arkansas. It's very real. He's very good at it. But I would suggest to you that his wife is not nearly as charming. And if you notice, all of these assaults have weighed her down, and I think has made this a much closer race than they thought it would be. All
right. Mr. Speaker, thanks for coming in. We appreciate it. And I'm looking forward to reading your novel. It's a contemporary, Treason. It's a contemporary story. Next on the rundown, brand new Fox poll, as mentioned, on who's winning the presidential race. We'll have all the numbers for you. Then, later, Trump defends himself against personal attacks. Bernie Goldberg and I will discuss it up ahead. Campaign 2016 segment tonight, brand new Fox poll on a presidential race. As we predicted, Hillary Clinton is now 7 points ahead of Donald Trump among likely voters nationwide. She leads 45-38, with Governor Johnson getting 7, Jill Stein 3. But white Americans still supporting Trump. That number is 48 for him, just 34% for Hillary Clinton. Among non-whites, it's the exact opposite, 73% for Clinton, just 11% for Donald Trump. And on a question about the Access Hollywood tapes, 48% of likely voters say it was a deal breaker. 48% say no big deal. Joining us now from Chicago, Tom Bevan from Real Clear Politics, and from Austin, Texas, Dr. Darren Shaw, a pollster for Fox News. Dr. Shaw, I'll begin with you. What's the headline behind the Fox News poll?
I think the obvious headline, Bill, is that this is very bad news for the Republicans. As you suggested, there are a lot of people who are speculating about what the impact of the Access Hollywood tape would be, what the impact of the second debate would be. These numbers come from interviews done Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday night. They show Hillary Clinton up by 7 points. The last 4 major media polls have shown the race her +6, +7, +9, and +7. You know, the state numbers we've seen recently show that states like Florida, North Carolina, Ohio, that are must-haves for Trump, have drifted from leaning him to, at best, toss-ups, maybe even leaning to Clinton a little bit. And the generic ballot in the Fox poll, that is who you're going to vote for Congress, shows a +7 Democratic lead there. That suggests, if you kind of run the numbers and models, about a 20-point loss in the House.
What is it all based upon? Character issues right now?
Well, I think what's happened is that, you know, he's still doing pretty well with Republicans, but he's just kind of collapsed amongst a lot of swing groups. You know, for instance, the suburban women, he's losing suburban women by 24 points. I mean, you can't compete in Dane County and outside Milwaukee or Bucks or Montgomery outside of Philly if you're losing suburban women by 24 points.
So when you look at these polls in the aggregate, Mr. Bevin, do you feel that, see, it swings. So you get the emotional poll after the Access Hollywood thing and the debate. That's emotion. People are emotional. They're right on top. But a week down the road, that emotion recedes a little bit until the next debate. Or am I wrong?
No, look, it's certainly possible, and we have seen swings in this race where Trump has, gained ground back even after he was trailing by substantial amounts. The problem is time is his enemy at this point. I mean, we're less than a month out from the campaign. He's taken a couple steps back, as Darren just mentioned, with some of these key swing groups. And the question is, with just one debate left, whether he's going to have the time and the ability to make that ground up. It's certainly possible, but it's getting late in the game.
All right. Now, in the Fox poll, Doctor, it shows that neither candidate, and this was my talking points, is trusted to any extent at all in this country. Both are not trusted. Is that correct?
That's absolutely correct. You cited, historically, you're absolutely right. I mean, these favorability numbers go back, really, we started running them in the Reagan-Carter race. It's the first time I remember them being kind of in the media polls quite a bit. These numbers are far below the numbers we've seen, even for unpopular candidates. And as you suggested, the new Fox poll, the honest and trustworthy numbers for either candidate, I mean, Hillary's numbers are abysmal until you look at Trump's. And
but it's almost tied, though, in the trustworthiness. I mean, unpopular that kind, but the trustworthiness. Now, that being said, now here's the key question of the whole interview, Mr. Bevin. Why, if both candidates are not being trusted by the American electorate, why is Hillary Clinton in front? I mean, what has propelled her up if they're equally distrusted?
As she asked the other day, why am I not leading this race by 50 points? Look, this has been a feature of this race the entire time. Hillary Clinton and her honest and trustworthiness numbers, I mean, this is built over a 20, 25, 30-year career. She was never going to be able to turn those numbers around. I think Trump had the opportunity to, but Trump has not moved the needle on some of these other character issues, on temperament, on judgment. You look at the Fox poll, I mean, he is behind by 30 points on both of those issues.
Temperament,
and so the American... on temperament, judgment, experience. I mean, that's been his biggest weakness throughout, and he's, despite all the campaigning, all the rallies, 2 debates now, he has not moved the needle in his direction on those issues at all.
All right, gentlemen. Thank you very much for the analysis. And here are the results of our non-scientific poll on BillO'Reilly.com. We asked if the presidential election were held this week, who would win? More than 25,000 of you voted. Trump 86, Clinton 14. There it is. That may be wishful thinking, according to the scientific polls. Directly ahead, hackers expose a speech where Hillary Clinton says she favors open borders. But what's the context of that? Truth Serum with the story. And Donald Trump furious about the personal attacks against him. You'll hear what he had to say today. Those reports after these messages. Truth Serum segment tonight, 2 hot topics. How news organizations embarrassed by WikiLeaks are reacting, and Hillary Clinton's open border comments exposed by hackers.
There's a quote in here, "My dream is a hemispheric common market with open trade and open borders." So she did say it.
First of all, I can't verify these documents, but second of all, you clipped off the last part of the sentence, which she was referring to green energy.
This is now our True Serum correspondent Eric Shawn in New York, Shannon Bream in Washington. So, was Mrs. Clinton taken out of context about the open border deal?
You know what? Based on what we can tell, I don't think so, because there's a lot we don't know, partially because her camp won't verify that these speeches are the ones she actually gave, and they won't release the transcripts from her paid speeches, so that leaves us with a lot more questions than answers.
What was the leak, though? How much did the leak... Look, the open borders thing is big. I mean, America doesn't want open borders, and if the President of the United States, should she be elected, secretly in her heart wants to open borders, I mean, it gets to be crazy. So how much do we know about what she actually... and these were Brazilian bankers she was talking to? Where was the speech? Do you remember?
I can tell you that it was to Brazilian bankers. I don't know if it was on their soil or ours. I think it was overseas. But here's the issue. This was flagged, according to these emails that came from WikiLeaks. Back in January of 2016, someone from her camp said, listen, going through the speeches, these are some problem areas that I think we have to talk about in advance. They're the ones who quoted this open borders quote that came from her.
Okay, so
they
let me get this straight.
knew.
The emails that were hacked that WikiLeaks saw was a discussion about Hillary Clinton's open border comment to the Brazilian bankers. But it didn't list the transcript of what she actually said. It just said, this could be a problem. We should be discussing how to deal with it if it does eventually come out. Do I have it?
Yeah. You got it. So they had flagged it themselves internally, knowing it would be an issue if somebody found it, discovered it, heard the speech, had a recording, or some kind of transcript of it. They themselves knew it was troublesome.
All right. Now let's turn to what we reported on last night. We got amazing ratings last night with this story, and people are very, very interested in the press corruption and people in high positions helping the Clinton campaign. And WikiLeaks has now exposed a number of those people, beginning with this man, Mark Leibovich, who's the top reporter, political reporter at the New York Times. What does the New York Times say about him making a deal with the Clinton campaign to use certain quotes?
Well, the New York Times says that they reluctantly agreed to an off-the-record interview with Mrs. Clinton, that it was better than nothing, that they wanted to try and talk to her.
That's reasonable.
That's what they say. And they say that, it was appropriate, and they were transparent, and they showed that in the article.
Did they?
Yes.
I didn't.
They described it. But, what I think is so weird about this, though, is they asked for an interview with Mrs. Clinton. They said no. But they said, we'll have an off-the-record interview.
Chat.
But that's an interview. You're either interviewing someone or you're not. It's like being half pregnant. Would you invite a guest in here and say, we'll have you in, but not put it on TV?
No, but I have had off-the-record conversations with newsmakers,
yes,
in the WikiLeaks exposure, talking to John Podesta, who runs Hillary Clinton's campaign, saying, hey, you might want to do this for Hillary. This would make her look good, but. Any action against Harwood?
NBC's not commenting. The New York Times, he also works at the New York Times, says that their reporters have their own sources and their own...
Because he writes Harwood for the New York Times occasionally.
So
they're not going to do it. Harwood's going to get away with it, too.
You don't do this. I mean, I'll tell you why. As a reporter, you don't give your views or your feelings. He praised Hillary Clinton no matter what you think about her. You don't say, I'm Sergeant Schultz. In my emails with people, you just don't do anything. You don't say anything.
No.
You don't talk about anything.
You play it neutral. That's what you're supposed to do.
Exactly.
I mean, and the fact that he was a debate moderator when he's a very big fan of Hillary Clinton, you got to be full disclosure. All right, so the bottom line is on this, nothing's going to happen to any of this.
Basically, they back them or they get...
Yeah, everybody's backed. Okay. Eric Shawn, everybody. Shannon Bream, thank you. Plenty more heads of fact and moves along this evening. Gutfeld and McGurk have been following the campaign fiasco. They'll have some thoughts. Then Bernie Goldberg on Donald Trump's furious defense today.
Even a simple investigation would have shown that these were nothing more than false smears.
We hope you stay tuned for those reports. What the heck just happened segment tonight. As you may know, Jill Stein's running for president on the Green Party ticket. She's polling about 3%. Here's what she said earlier this week.
I won't sleep well at night if Donald Trump is elected, but I sure won't sleep well at night if Hillary Clinton is elected. On the issue of war and nuclear weapons and the potential for nuclear war, actually Hillary's policies, which are much scarier than Donald Trump, who does not want to go to war with Russia.
Here now to analyze the campaign from their unique points of view. McGurk and Gutfeld. You voting for Jill Stein, Gutfeld?
No, because she's a liar. She keeps saying she doesn't sleep well at night. She's a doctor. Just write a prescription. She can get anything she wants. I don't believe what she's saying. And also, she clearly hates women going after Hillary like that. I think that's wrong. Also, she's representing the Green Party, an entire party devoted to money. What kind of monster is she?
That's environmental.
Oh, I totally missed that, Bill.
Green grass?
Oh, I didn't get that.
Yeah, well, it's not the money party.
All right.
Okay.
Let's do this over. Listen,
I was surprised that she feels that Hillary Clinton would be more dangerous with the nukes.
She is Bernie Sanders with a backbone, let's put it that way. And she's right. She happens to be right. I mean, Hillary Clinton, as you know, Bill, is an interventionist. Iraq, Libya, Egypt, and now Assad. And Assad is backed by Russia. And she hasn't learned the lesson of Iraq in that the dictators sometimes are better for us than these democracies that she wants to uphold over there. So she wants to build a no-fly zone. The Russians fly in it. And she wants to get rid of Assad, who's fighting ISIS. They're helping us out, and that's Trump's point, is let the Russians and the Syrians kill the ISIS people and stay out of it.
I don't know if either one of them are really going to solve our problems over there, but Gutfeld.
Not her.
In the talking points memo, I just said that no matter who's elected, and I still believe that Trump could win because this is so insane that, we could wake up tomorrow and it could be some crazy thing.
A meteor. We could not wake up tomorrow because a meteor would hit us and destroy us. Well, that's your logic. You're saying anything could happen.
That aside, it's every day. So Trump is 7 down.
Yeah.
That's not insurmountable. However, whoever wins, Gutfeld, it's not going to be a big party on Inauguration Day.
Oh, no. No one's happy about the choices they have. This is like going to a bad buffet.
Bad buffet.
You have ambrosia salad, and then you got day-old coleslaw. Yeah, and there's kale. But you got to eat, right? You got to eat.
Some people do.
It's Charlie Sheen versus Tanya Harding, essentially, is what it comes down to.
I don't know if it's that bad, McGurk.
Yes, it is.
But you're right, Bill. It's not over, and except you have some of these spineless Republicans like Paul Ryan who waving the white flag on the day after a great debate performance.
Do you think there's one human being in this country that cares what Paul Ryan says or who he's endorsing?
I think it hurts. I think some people do care.
I care.
Look, the people in Wisconsin, for one.
Maybe a few in Wisconsin, but for Trump to spend all that time on Paul Ryan, it doesn't matter.
You got to fight. You have to fight. Everybody has to get together and fight.
Have him fight the other side.
The Hillary Savage, sleazy machine, the media, and now he's fighting the Republicans.
But why? It doesn't matter.
Because Ryan abandoned him.
So
that's why.
What?
So fight him, and you got to call him out.
That's like little orphan Annie not listening to your radio show. So what? It doesn't matter.
I think it does matter when you have the Republicans wishy-washy on.
Your pop culture references are right up there.
Thank you. I got that from Miller. I mean, look, if somebody doesn't like you, you don't spend 3 days pounding them into pudding.
It's all about
you have done that before.
Just to you.
Yes.
David Nelson sweaters every day. Come on.
All right.
So we disagree on that. I think you just get your energy, put forth your policies. You're better than the other people. Leave the other stuff alone. Gutfeld, McGurk, everybody. There they are. And when we come right back, Donald Trump furious about the personal attacks on him. We'll hear what he has to say today. Then water sampling political opinion in Amish country, a unique part of America. Factors coming right back. Thanks for staying with us. I'm Bill O'Reilly. In the Weekdays of Bernie segment tonight, speaking in Florida today, Donald Trump repudiated the latest personal attacks against him.
Now we address the slander and libels that was just last night thrown at me by the Clinton machine and the New York Times and other media outlets as part of a concerted, coordinated, and vicious attack. It's not coincidence that these attacks come at the exact same moment and all together at the same time as WikiLeaks releases documents exposing the massive international corruption of the Clinton machine.
Joining us now from North Carolina, Bernie Goldberg. So what did you think of Mr. Trump's statement?
What did I think? Not much. Not much. It sounded like more of Donald's righteous indignation. He doesn't deserve the benefit of the doubt. There have been too many accusations from too many women in too many different places. There was Donald on the hot mic that was released last week. There's a tape which, you might want to think about running from the Howard Stern show where Howard's sidekick says, Donald, you're a sexual predator. He smiles, chuckles a little bit, and says, "Yeah, I am."
But wait.
Well,
That's a comedy show. I mean, look. Everybody who knows.
If you're going to say you're a sexual predator on a comedy show, that's on you.
All right.
Look, I don't know if these.
Let me have my say, and then you can say. Donald Trump's an entertainer. Okay, he goes on shows like Howard Stern's to get people to watch his program, The Apprentice, or buy his books or whatever. When he goes in there, he back then when it happened was basically trying to entertain. All right, so he had no public policy on his mind, none of that. All right, he's an entertainer. And then the stuff that he says, and you know how raunchy the Stern show can get, all right? But it's a comedy, satirical show, is then used in a serious manner against him. Don't you think that's a little much? I'm not diminishing, because I don't know. I'm not diminishing any claims or anything. But I think it's a bit much at this point.
What I'm saying, Bill, is he brings it on himself.
But he was an entertainer.
Well, then stay in entertainment. He's in the wrong line of work.
All right, now we're getting somewhere. So if a person's an entertainer, all right, like Ronald Reagan was an entertainer. And when Ronald Reagan was in Hollywood, if you read Killing Reagan, the book, okay, did some things that weren't that great, Ronald Reagan. So you're telling me that he should have been disqualified for...
No, I'm not. Because Donald Trump, as you have said, is different from anybody who has ever run. You want to forget about the Howard Stern thing? Let's forget about it. Let's just take all the other stuff. Listen, I wasn't in the room when Paula Jones made the accusation that Bill Clinton exposed himself and made a lewd suggestion. I wasn't there. I don't know if she's telling the truth, but I believe her. I wasn't in the White House when Bill Clinton, according to Kathleen Willey, groped her. I wasn't in the White House that day, but I believe her. I sure as hell wasn't in the hotel room in Little Rock, Arkansas, when then Attorney General Bill Clinton allegedly raped Juanita Broaddrick. But you know what? I believe her too. And you know why? Because Bill Clinton has a bad reputation. If I were an editor of a paper and somebody came to me and said, I got a story that Tom Hanks is fondling women against their will, I'd say, I'm not running that garbage. I don't believe it.
But
I believe it when
women
come. But I believe it when women come through and say Donald Trump did it.
Shouldn't the standard, though, and we have to, this is the last question, shouldn't the standard of reportage be clear evidence, not... No. See, to me it is.
No, what's the...
To me it is. You got to have some clear evidence before I'm going to put you on.
This is the conservative hypocrisy. Where's the clear evidence that Bill Clinton raped Juanita Broaddrick?
I didn't put Ms. Broaddrick on the air, or the others that you mentioned. They never appeared on his program.
But I and everybody watching your show, or virtually everybody, believes that these women were telling the truth. I certainly believe it.
It's a matter of...
And we believe it because we know Bill Clinton.
All right.
And
it's a matter of what the context is.
Donald Trump.
I don't think that's fair at this point. I think you have to have evidence.
You're not going to have evidence. How are you going to have evidence of what went on in a room with nobody but Donald Trump and the woman? How are you going to have evidence?
Real quick, and I got to go. If the woman on the airplane was indeed sexually assaulted, but not only Donald Trump or any other man or anybody on this earth, all she had to do was tell the flight attendants, and that person would have been arrested, okay? Donald Trump wasn't famous back then, all right? It was just a regular guy, and nothing happened. So
it's not unusual.
As an editor,
women...
I pull back and I say, you know what? It's not enough. All right, it's good discussion. I mean, we disagree, but it's a good discussion. Waters on deck. Pennsylvania, a key state in the presidential race. He goes to Amish country to talk politics. Moments away. Back in the book segment tonight, Waters World. One of my favorite places in the country is central Pennsylvania, where the Amish folks live. Totally unique place. Great place to visit. So we sent Waters there to sample political opinion.
Are you going to vote?
Nah.
As a Christian, we don't get involved in government. Why don't you vote?
It's kind of against our religion.
Who are you going to vote for?
Well, I'm not sure if I'm going to vote or not, but if I do, it's going to be a woman.
Really?
Okay, because the only Trump I use is when I'm playing cards.
Who are you going to vote for?
Trump.
Tell me why.
He's strong on illegal immigration. He's going to build a wall for us, protect our country.
I never voted.
No?
It doesn't make much difference. The country's on the way downhill anyway.
Have you been following the presidential election at all?
I haven't.
Lucky you. Are you excited to potentially have the first female in the White House?
I'd be scared.
Have you heard anything about Donald Trump? I've heard lots, but we're looking for something else. Are you excited that a woman, Hillary Clinton, is running for president?
Not really, no.
Did you hear what happened to Hillary's emails?
Nope.
Me neither. She deleted them all. But do you know what Hillary's nickname is? Crooked Hillary. What do you think about President Obama's performance?
Like his presidential performance, or what do you mean?
What other performance do you think I'm talking about? Are you excited for the election?
No.
This is a napkin basket right here.
Are these baskets for deplorables?
For what?
What's next on the agenda for today?
I'm gonna go home and scratch the cat.
Have you ever been on the internet?
No, I don't plan to.
Lucky you. Do you think I could hack it in the farming industry?
I don't know. Why don't we go give it a try? Jesse, you got to pull a little harder.
Do not utter a word. I did it! Is that skim milk? Shovel manure? How do you think I got on TV? I work with a lot of hot air too. O'Reilly.
O'Reilly?
Anything you want to tell O'Reilly?
Mention that you like his book.
And his books are really good.
Do you know whose world it is?
It's God's world.
Yeah, you're probably right about that. Do you watch a lot of TV?
Never owned a TV in my life.
So you don't even know who I am?
No, I don't get.
I'm Waters.
Who's that? What's that mean?
And this is my world.
Really?
Yeah.
It doesn't mean a thing to me.
So we made a deal with the balloon guy, and Waters is now over Uzbekistan. He may be back on Monday. Debbie Oldengarm, Dublin, Texas. Women that love their Bibles and guns will vote for Trump. That's more than half. Annette Hager, Murrieta, California. I think Trump should flat out ask women to vote for him, then thank them in advance for their votes. Paul Hundley, Los Angeles. Bill, if you don't get it. The Trump campaign cannot say they'll target women because of all the claims that have been made. Trump campaign must persuade more women to support him, Paul, news events aside. Diane Garland, Cynthiana, Kentucky. As an educated woman, I am offended by those who believe I am shallow enough not to see that Trump's stupid sexual blather should not overshadow the real issues. John Bacon, Richmond, England. As Trump's poll numbers fall, I believe he will pull out of the election to avoid a loss. Not likely, John, unless something cataclysmic happens. Ron Anderson, Stockholm, Sweden. My country is crumbling over mass immigration. We are proof the USA will be badly damaged if something is not done. Ron Slider, Sedona, Arizona. I'm a Marine who was involved in the atom bomb testing. Killing the Rising Sun gave me more information than I ever knew. Amazing. Beth Garvey, Destin, Florida. Bill, I've been a Factor fan for many years. Read all your books. Killing the Rising Sun is the best one. Well, I appreciate your loyalty, Beth. Thank you. Peter Ayers, Lynn, Massachusetts. Mr. O, could you please wish my mother, Gloria, a happy 101st birthday? My pleasure, Peter. Happy birthday, Gloria. Way to go. And finally, tonight, the fact tip of the day, my interview with Donald Trump on Tuesday made headlines all over the world. But one media writer was not pleased. Ken Tucker, who works for Yahoo, wrote, quote, at the top of the interview, O'Reilly announced a new ground rule. If at any time Mr. Trump feels he's being treated unfairly, he has been asked by me to say that. Sheesh, universities have had a good laugh at Bill's own new area, the Factor Safe Space. Very witty, Ken. Here's what you left out. We will give Hillary Clinton the same courtesy should she decide to talk with us. Interesting how Tucker failed to mention that to his few readers. You're a hack, Ken. I know it. You know it. Now everybody knows it. By the way, there was some balance in the Washington Post. Reporter Chris Silesia headlined this article about the interview. Bill O'Reilly's Trump interviews are the best Trump interviews. That's nice to hear. We try to be fair. Here's fact tip of the day. When you are treated unfairly, say something. No anger, no hysteria. Just calmly state your case. And that is it for us tonight. Please check out the Fox News Factor website, different from BillO'Reilly.com. Then we'd like you to spout off about the factor from anywhere in the world. O'Reilly at FoxNews.com. O'Reilly at FoxNews.com. Name in town, name in town, name in town. If you wish to opine, word of the day, no ethnocentricity when writing to the factor, huh? Pretty good word. Again,